Good morning, boys and girls. Well, if you were a student or a teacher at GMIS during the last 30 years, you would know that famous phrase from the principal, which would open school day at 7:10, and we would always start with assemblies. I'm a huge fan of assemblies. I remember my assemblies when I was a kid, and we'd march into the auditorium to classical music. Sports teacher would put different classical music on, and it would set the tone for the day. Now, these assemblies were slightly different to the ones I used to go to 30, 40 years ago as a child, but still, similar ideas. We'd always start with the morning prayer. At our school, we were non-denomination, so open to all religions, non-circular, so it was definitely a prayer for everybody. Holy God, kind God, I think was the first line. We give you this special day, I think was the second line. I can't remember all of it. Actually, I didn't see too many of the assemblies at the last 10-15 years because I was doing something else, which I'll talk about in the next video. But the bottom line is assemblies generally stuck with the same principle of you'd start with you'd start with the prayer, there'd be a skit depending on what grade, because all grades would have a chance during the school year of performing, whether it's song or dance or, a theme such as, global warming or something like that, diversity. Anyway, the obvious themes that would come up. And then we would have the principal's talk, and then we would finish with thought of the day. Now, there were a couple of problems with our assemblies after we moved from Anshel to Camiron. In Anshel, the principal would be looking at us like this, whereas in Camiron, we had a large area, but it was in the middle of this area, it was a stage. So we had students to the right and students to the left, which was a bit of a problem because, of course, the principal's talking and you're not actually looking at him. I always believed that know your audience, and because our school literally went from KG to 12, the audience every day was grade 1 to 12. Now, the message I'm giving for grade 9 or 10 will be different, and a different way I would speak to kids who are grade 1 and 2 as a teacher also. I'm not going to teach grade 12 in the same way I teach grade 1 and 2. So this was a little bit of a problem in assemblies because often themes were not relevant either to the young ones, sometimes to the older ones. But I mean, it was a good thing on the whole. The one major mistake that happened during assemblies, and it's something I'll never forget, I believe it was a Friday, and one of our teachers unfortunately committed suicide the Thursday evening. And I remember specifically going to the supervisor, the primary supervisor, and saying, look, let's not do the dancing today, let's make it short. And she wouldn't have it. And I thought that was pretty pathetic. One of our teachers had died. You don't do a happy assembly that day, but she wouldn't have it. She didn't want to discuss with the principal, and I didn't have the might to say. But I do remember at the end of the assembly, some of the Korean kids, and hats off to them, wow, they were fuming because it was disrespectful. Anyway, that's the story of our assemblies. I'm sure we still hold assemblies. And as I say, I'm a big supporter of assemblies. Actually, when I think back in my youth, we used to actually sing a prayer. Not a prayer, a hymn to the assembly. But we don't do that anymore. Anyway, that's the story of GMIS assemblies. Thanks for watching, and as always, bye bye, don't be a sheep.